This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Welcome to Behind the Scenes, for your half-assed entertainment news with no bullshit, with our hosts, the Baroness and Bear Fiorda, only on Talk 4 Media.
I'm taking your microphone because
there are two of them.
In time. Welcome to Behind the Scenes. I'm your host, exhausted from Fashion Week. Shout out to Yana, by the way, for setting that up. And I'm on with
Yana
my
Kovas.
Co-host. Yeah, it's Yana Alul.
Sorry.
Alul. So Kovas is what she used to do when she was a Russian spy.
That's. I don't think she was poisoned like one, unfortunately, but she was never one.
Oh no, I introduced her as a Russian spy.
Okay.
Yana's one of my producers. She's fabulous.
She is terrifying as well.
Yes. And then we are on with my co-host. What's his face?
No. Suit. Look how. Oh, thank you. That's okay. I was gonna say you gotta acknowledge.
You gotta show that tie. That is gorgeous.
This suit is from Mastaloni in Los Angeles. Good friend Max mine. His line is also called Christian Couture. It's just a beautiful suit, and I love wearing it.
I absolutely. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
He dressed you for Fashion Week.
He did. He's dressed me all 3 days. So yesterday was this one. I got a lovely kind of brown check suit today, and the final day Saturday, I got this beautiful purple suit. That's my favorite one. I'm so excited to put that one on, honestly. But I don't have purple shoes. You know, that's the one part that sucks. I can't fit the ensemble. I got brown shoes for the brown suit, blue shoes for the blue suit, but
he's been looking for purple shoes.
People don't like to sell purple shoes. I don't get it.
You need to find a pimp.
Or at least the pimp's dealer, I think, is probably what I need to find more than anything else. Just, the clothing dealer.
That isn't how any of this works.
I know it's probably not how it works. Hey, fun fact, because we talked about this before the show, and I want to bring it up
I told
now.
him he needed to say it.
I am going to share it right now. I recently learned as a Jurassic Park fan that the dinosaurs that represent the velociraptors are actually not velociraptors, because those suckers are like the size of chickens, and they did not look intimidating enough. So they used one called Deinonychus, and I don't know what it looks like yet, but I am excited to check it out because I totally forgot. What the fuck is that?
Oh, it's my red light mask. Hold this.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna.
It's from
Let me
Filterless
double fist
Era,
these microphones real quick.
and it goes on like that. This is not sponsored, by the way.
You can't even open up your mouth.
I can.
What are you gonna do?
This is not sponsored. That had to hang on. It wasn't put together. This isn't supposed to be taken off.
Oh my God! It has eyeballs.
Yeah, it protects your eyes essentially from the red light. It goes in like that underneath.
Wait,
yeah.
You just put that on? Just put that on. Ready? Go ahead. Hold it. No. Batman.
Okay, we'll have to leave this till after. I was going to do my red light, but this isn't supposed to be taken apart.
Okay. So, I mean,
for
hey,
any reason.
There's always the next time. It kind of made you look a little bit like the Cybermen from Doctor Who.
Why did you hand me the furthest microphone?
I don't know. That's a good question. Why did I reach across my body to give you the mic? I don't know. But no, I like that. It looks really, really cool. What's the purpose of kind of having the red light mask, though? Because you can just sit inside of a tub.
It's supposed to help what you can. You've sat in red light. You're actually working with a company. What company are you working with that you do that? Yes,
I'm working with Foscaris Wellness, and they help me do red light therapy. They provided me some equipment for red light purposes. I make content with it. It's good for my knees, particularly. It really helps out.
I may have.
Oh shit! We got it to work.
I'm a fish.
Yeah. That's what I think of, like a fish design in a cartoon. You're hitting the mark a little bit, actually. That's really clever. What is that? Your remote control?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a special on-off button?
It's supposed to be on.
Do you have to hold it?
Apparently, it was not charged. So we went through all of this, and it's not charged.
I watched that thing plugged in too. I don't.
Oh, I hit the wrong button.
Yeah, there it is. Look, show the audience.
I've never done this on camera.
Now you're like a terrifying fish. You got the red light right behind your face. Stunning, really. It's the
gorgeous.
Best look. Oh, gorgeous! But it's to make you gorgeous. I'm sorry. Oh man. What's going on in Hollywood this week? Baroness?
Everyone's using. So you usually Baroness is the title.
Oh,
the
what
way
do you
I'm
normally
supposed
say
to, you're supposed to address Baroness as Your ladyship.
Your ladyship. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
So what's going on in Hollywood this week, your ladyship?
Fashion Week.
Well,
As you
yeah.
well know.
Is
I
it?
can't do this on air. This is like pushing on my face.
We tried, everybody. Now, this was.
I do like, by the way, if you get a chance, this is not sponsored. That is filterless era. I really do like that red light mask.
It's a good one. It looks like it's getting you full coverage there.
It does. I'm gonna put it on after.
Would it help with?
Flip that around.
Would red light help with deep, like brain or
With
just
that
skin?
noise. What do you mean?
Like, you know, if I suddenly
Pause. Stop what you're doing. You're making too much noise. We're working with a new intern.
Okay.
So I'm like explaining, pick that up, close it, just lay that on top, make sure nothing can get near it. Stop touching anything.
Hey, that's what you need to do. But my question was, is it like penetrate the skin enough? Let's say I get a dramatic head injury. Would it help me with that? Can I recover with
I don't
red
know.
light?
You'd have to talk to your red light person. I don't think
That's true.
so.
I don't think so either, really. But wouldn't that be cool if we had technology to really help with that? Because right now, when it comes to that kind of injuries, we don't really have much in the way of helping them. But I'm getting a little bit off track. So this week we have LA Fashion Week in Los Angeles. That's a big part of Hollywood. And then when else are we moving? Do we have Paris, Milan? But those aren't this week, right? This is just Los Angeles, or is it all around the world right now?
No, Los Angeles was last week. So the same shows move from place to place. So what will happen is it goes from one place to another place from week to week.
Okay.
So essentially, we had Paris, then we had New York, now we have Los Angeles.
Nice.
I think they have Dallas.
Oh, they have a Dallas Fashion
Yeah,
Week?
they have them all over the place.
Cool. I never knew that either. I thought it was just kind of the big three was Los Angeles, Milan, and
Actually,
Paris.
LA is considered one of the worst fashion weeks.
Oh,
it's really discombobulated. It's really I hate these. I like the little things better, by the way.
Okay. If you want, we can take them off.
It's really discombobulated. Well, it's blocking. So the issue with these, I get that it's meant to look like an old mic, but
you just there it goes.
But this takes up less space.
Okay.
You can see more of your clothing.
Okay.
And
you know what?
case,
I won't disagree with that. Those are some fine points. But just so we look uniform, let me take mine off too.
You can leave yours on. I don't care. I know you're really excited by new technology.
Well, you know, I appreciate that. That's kind of you. I normally wouldn't.
You are wrecking the sound of the show by playing with that.
This is also a fair point. Well, let's just leave it like this then.
Anyway, essentially, LA is considered the worst of the fashion weeks. This has been a very discombobulated show with multiple things going wrong. So far, we've had a screw up with the red light mask. Bear's like...
Oh, I thought you were talking about the fashion week.
We sound like we're doing corn.
Speaking of which...
I know. I'm actually really excited. We have somebody from BookTok on, and I'm going to talk them into reading one of the books we are turning into a TV show, but they don't know that yet.
They don't know that yet. Now, what is
Tell everyone about our guest. We're gonna start there. I don't think we have him set yet. I know he's supposed to come on in a few minutes.
Okay. Well, when he joins us,
I have sniffy quotes. We have both Fish Fiorda and Fish Helene. I like
because the mask.
I like
but no, so our special guest today is Kevin Norman. He's an influencer who specializes particularly in books. And let's see. Oh, that's all we have for today about that. But you know, we have plenty of questions to ask him as well. And now I'm not very familiar with BookTok. So what is...
It's one of the most popular genres, which surprises me because you're a reader. So BookTok is essentially people that you're making faces like.
I'm not a reader.
You do. You like books. You like audiobooks.
Oh,
like
definitely
fantasy
books.
Oh,
yeah. I'll listen all day long.
But you also read books. Like you'll read Warhammer. You'll read the fantasy. So it's a little different than a lot of people's.
Okay.
It's so weird. I'm so not used to not having makeup. Like I'm looking at my eyebrows. Like they're so pale. I look terrible without makeup.
No, we can see them. You look beautiful. Don't worry about it. Well, you know what? And I'm not really big into BookTok, but when I do hear about it, might get told.
BookTok.
Yeah, BookTok.
So BookTok is the area of the internet where everyone goes and talks about books. I actually watch BookTok. I had one of my writers in one of the IPs we're holding, which is Receiver of Many, was really popular on like Tumblr and Insta and all of that. And BookTok, whatever gets popular on there is now becoming films. I look on BookTok
because people just like you, the producers, are looking for their material on that subject.
We're looking for projects that are already popular.
That's fair too. Yeah. Because if you have an embedded following already, why not?
Exactly. And it's a way to get original content and shore it up. If you notice, we make the same films again and again and again.
Just
because
different titles,
it's
slightly
to make
different
money.
narrative.
Well, it's got nothing to do with that. We just remake the same ones. And it's just for money because it's a sure investment. So a good way of showing up your investment and getting an original IP is going for a book that's already popular.
You know,
do you want to introduce our guest? He's on, and I'm more interested in him than you.
Okay. Welcome to the show, Kevin Norman. How you doing today, man?
I'm good. How are you?
You know, I do pretty all right so far. I love that the background is also books.
He's
this
lying.
is perfect.
We're exhausted. We came from fashion. And yesterday,
It's okay.
We didn't even put on makeup.
I'm exhausted too. But yes, it is all books. I have, I think, too many, which you won't hear book readers say too often.
No, dude, it's like a library, but I'm allowed to
color
speak in a normal tone. I love it.
They're color coordinated.
Oh, shit, they are.
He's color coordinated his books.
That's really well done, actually.
We have
Nice.
a tree.
Oh yeah, right there. Those ones.
I love this.
Yeah, these ones not color coded. These ones color coded.
Nice. What got you like into? Listen, I'm not a book reader. I'll listen to stuff, so this is very new territory and very shocking.
You make yourself
to see,
sound
you
stupid.
know?
He does read books.
He's never read a book in his life.
He just gets punched in the head more than he reads.
But what got you into reading to begin with? What made you, in fact, more than that, what made you want to start making content about it?
Yeah, great question. So I've been a big book lover and reader since I was a kid, and then the pandemic happened and we all had so much free time. So I was like, why don't I just get back into reading since I have the time to do it? And I just started reading a lot more books, and then TikTok was kind of on the rise, and I was watching TikTok videos, and I am a creative person. So I was like, oh, I'd love to get in on TikTok. I just don't know how. And then I saw someone make a video about books. And then I was like, wait, people actually want to talk about books on the internet. And so I made my own video promoting, if you like the book, Call Me by Your Name, here's some other LGBTQ plus books you should check out. And then that video blew up, and now we're here and I'm with you.
Well, thank you for that. We appreciate it.
I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm kind of curious as well. Is there a particular type of genre you try and stick to with your content? Do you have a thing that really hits well with your audience?
Not really. I think if I'm passionate about something, my audience will be passionate about it too. It really just comes down to being genuine and talking about the things you love. Do I have a favorite genre? Of course, I love fantasy books, but I will read pretty much anything. And then books will get popular on the internet, and I kind of want to join in on the conversation and see what the heck everyone else is talking about. So I'll read that too.
Nice. I actually stalk you looking for IPs to pick up, just to be perfectly honest. One of the, I'm not kidding. I pick up my IPs by watching BookTok, you personally, and some other people. And one of the ones we're doing right now, Receiver of Many, is being turned into a television series, and that actually led to A Court of Thorns and Roses. It led to all of these fan fictions based on this original book, and I'm seeing more and more of that, and I'm loving to see Receiver and Call Me by Your Name and all these inclusive books, because there weren't a lot, and it was very, very closed off until BookTok got popular, because for some reason publishers are stupid and like to leave money on the table.
No, that's a great point, because we have more diversity now in publishing. It's still not perfect. There's a lot of work to do.
Oh boy, that was really a very polite understatement. I'm going to go with way worse. Please continue.
But I will say BookTok showed publishers that there is an audience for these books. There is a rise in LGBTQ plus books, books by marginalized authors and marginalized stories and voices, because they see the passion behind these books. They're like, oh, let's invest in more, which is kind of crappy. They had to wait until they saw the numbers, but it was always there. Now they're just waking up.
Historically, we're not great about it. Like that book I was talking about, I'll send you a copy of, Receiver. Her fan base chased me down at Comic-Con, stalked me while I was speaking there, and gave it to me. And when I told them, no, I can't take unsolicited material, they followed me for 3 days. When you talk about a loyal audience, these books Call Me by Your Name, they have a loyal audience.
Yeah, they really, really do.
Frighteningly loyal audience. what is a book you discovered because you're doing this that you wouldn't have discovered otherwise?
So there's a genre called dark romance. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there is.
I can guess.
That is the secret of many. That's where I got this book that the lady threw at me.
Yeah, so that was a genre I never explored before I entered BookTok. I just was not on my radar. I stuck to like fantasy, young adult, romance here and there. But then I read a book called Haunting Adeline, and that opened the floodgates to that genre for me. So that is definitely something I would not have picked up if it wasn't for people being like, "Hey, you should check out this book." And then I did.
You know, that's I'm just curious. Off that note, considering how it impacted you and things you've discovered now since starting this channel, how do you think you impact other people's, and how do you broaden their horizons when they hear your stuff?
He gets people to read. Have you not?
No, that's a great question, because I think I see it the most from people I know and knew before I started creating book content. They'll like reach out to me and be like, "Hey, you're encouraging to read more. I picked up this book because of you." And then, of course, the wonderful community I've built online, receiving comments from them like, "I trust your book opinions. I'm definitely going to check this out because of you." The thing, though, as a content creator, I don't think we always see the type of influence we have unless people do take that step to directly talk to us. But I would like to think I am encouraging everyone out there to at least pick up a book and read.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty big part of what
Cult
you
level.
do. Absolutely.
Cult level.
On
You're
the
following
internet.
this cult level.
Go ahead. I know I cut you off the last time.
No, you go. I was enjoying your questions. It was better than mine.
With how embedded your audience really is, and overall BookTok is one of the most dedicated audiences I see. Like I do cage fighting content. I'm a mixed martial artist by trade, and my people get pretty into it.
You make people smarter. He makes them dumber.
But more than that too, as well, you get people so much more invested in what you put out. And so I'm wondering, do you ever have any interesting interaction with people who maybe are a little too invested in what you put out, or you yourself?
Not to that extent. I would say, like, as we discussed earlier, there is loyal fan bases. So if you critique something that has a big fan base, you should be prepared for at least some form of backlash is a strong word for this, but some pushback from individuals. People take books very personally because it becomes a part of like who they are and their identity and their personality. So when it gets critiqued online, I think a lot of nuance gets lost, and some people just might take things personally that they really shouldn't.
But, sorry, I was just told by the live stream. Apparently, my butt was showing. That's fantastic. Shout out to the live stream. Sorry to my aunt. No, they do. They take it really seriously. Look at what's going on with the Baldoni Blake Lively thing. I am going to ask your opinion on that. So prepare for online hate. Shout out to if you're writing in. So, what do you think about the Blake Lively Justin Baldoni thing? I just have to get your opinion on that because
as I was grown up with this saying, not my monkey, not my circus. I try not to get involved with all that drama or anything, because there are content creators out there who this is like what they do. They talk about pop culture. They talk about what's going on in the news, Blake and Justin. I just stick to my fictional world.
I don't mean like who do you think's right in that? I mean, with the changes that they wanted to make to the book, do you think, I know that's kind of what led to the war. Do you think people need to be more true or less true to books and adaptions?
It's an interesting question, because if you ask us as readers, we want to be like, yes, it should be exactly like the book. But there are some things that just don't get translated, and film is a different type of medium. So in a way, it makes sense that it would be slightly different. You're telling the same story. You're just telling it in a new and fresh way. When it came to It Ends With Us, I actually enjoyed the movie more than I did the book.
Okay,
plus,
that makes sense.
Justin Baldoni's hot as hell. Like, it's not.
It's an easy way to get it. Well, in that case, if you had a book that you had to make an adaptation for, that you would really want to see it done directly by the book, line for line, what would that be?
And let me take notes.
Honestly, I would love to see the book The Song of Achilles. I don't know if you are familiar with it. It's basically a retelling of Achilles, and it's a beautiful gay love story that touches like straight people, gay people, like it is a beloved book. And why it doesn't have an adaptation, like we have Troy, we have Sparta, which was a show, like they need to adapt The Song of Achilles. I think it'd be a beautiful movie.
Okay, so I'm reaching out and getting that IP.
Song of Achilles it is.
Yep.
Do you have an opinion as to why they may not have tried to adapt it, considering they've touched on a lot of things with Achilles already?
Really? You didn't get that from Gay Love Story? You know how hard it is to get gay stories made? I tried.
But listen, if you were to think back to that time, that's probably a far more accurate adaptation than what we've seen thus far.
Absolutely.
So,
but did you see Alexander because they included gay love scenes in that?
I don't think I did, actually.
Go to the corner.
I'm sorry.
You're fired. You're no longer on the show.
No, you're right. I think because it's a queer story, which makes it harder, but it's also a higher budget to produce. Like fantasy is really hard to get adapted because it just costs so much money.
That's true, man. Look at Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, all those big trilogies.
That's easier. That can all be CG. What we have to do now to do some of these, I'm sorry, it's ridiculous. Like, okay, again, I'm going to go back to The Receiver. We have to shoot that in Scotland, Italy, and in a place called Granite Tor to get Black Cliffs. It is cost prohibitive unless you're working with BBC or HBO or Stars.
Okay, so the high production value really can take away from it. Is that possibly why the books don't really translate well to movies? The production value or the cost is just too much to maybe make those things more accurate?
I think that could have an effect on it and be a part of it. I think a lot of it also comes to if they don't hire the author to collaborate on the script, or if they completely ignore basically the fan base and the author themselves and kind of just go off script and do their own thing. Like we saw with Avatar: The Last Airbender was a very popular cartoon series, and then M. Night Shyamalan made that terrible movie, and
we don't speak about that one. Fuck that one.
I'd like to remind everyone, every time we use bad language, we give money to the Boys and Girls Club of America, the Humane Society of America. We swear because we care.
Cuss for charity. I love it.
That's called the Sean Patrick Flaherty rule. We had him on and he said the F word 72 times in like 30 minutes. Yeah,
so we had to make it good.
Well, I haven't said any.
No, you've been a very very polite.
If you do, the money goes to charity, so it's fine.
Great.
The so
I want to, if you don't mind, I want to say something to what we said earlier. I totally agree with you. To play devil's advocate, some people may appreciate a new perspective on what we see from the original storyline.
That's the middle ground thing. When you look at J.K. Rowling, she was too involved in Fantastic Beasts and it dropped dead.
What do you mean? I thought that was like a company thing. They didn't want to push it any further.
She was the one that wrote Fantastic Beasts.
Right.
And so it came more as a novel than that, plus her own controversies pulled into it.
Yeah.
So when you have someone that tight, it's a catch-22.
I think that one also played a pretty heavy factor when that started coming out.
A little bit.
Yeah, we don't talk about her.
Just taboo topic in BookTok. We're just gonna gloss over that one.
Like it's one of those. She wrote one of the most influential series in history, and I just wish she'd have stopped tweeting.
I agree. I mean, I grew up with those books. I have a soft spot for Harry Potter, but she makes it very hard to connect with that part of myself. That it is like losing a part of my childhood. I just wish she would step away from the computer and take all your money and go into the abyss and do whatever you want. Just leave trans people alone.
Just leave it out of your mouth.
It's not a high bar. Just like it's one of those. Okay, you believe in a world where people can take polyjuice potion, where they can be and do whatever they want. Where a noseless, faceless snake guy can do that, but a guy can't transition into a girl and live that way because that's how they feel inside. That you can't do, but follow your heart, Harry. Like I can't. Can't figure that out. I'm like, really? That you can't envisage that, but Hogwarts you got.
I think that actually kind of relates back to what we talked about earlier, where people get really into their book series to the point where even when the author starts doing things that maybe are a little bit against what they would like as a person or what they resonated with, they can get kind of very aggressive and fight back. And in this case with her, it was very necessary, I think.
Well, the cast also pushed back, and I think that made a difference.
Yeah. What we're learning is you have to be careful about where what books you put yourself into, because you never know what the author is going to do. So you're better off loving a book where the author's already dead versus like if you loved anything by Neil Gaiman, which I'm not going to go into, but that's yes, that's like there's a lot of things he was a part of that are now tainted based on who he was as a person and how he acts.
That's
the series Good Omens was one of my favorite things in the world. Yeah.
No, this is a good point that I'm thinking about. Is it better, as we discuss this, is it really hard to kind of separate yourself from the author? So if I was to watch a movie that I loved as a kid and even now, and it's really exciting to me, but I know the writer or the original author of the novel was just like a shitty human being, I think I would still be able to watch, enjoy, and stay away from that person. Is that something more people should adopt, or is it better that they can look at this like, no, that's a bad person, we don't need that content in our lives?
I see both sides, but at the end of the day, I think if we're reading an author's work, that is coming from who they are and from what they believe. So if they are a genuinely, like, let's say, racist, transphobic, bad person, that is definitely going to leak into what they're creating, and you as the consumer may take that on as well without knowing.
I never thought about that. We're psychoanalyzing my movies.
Well, no, actually, nail on the head.
Yeah, that's really cool.
We're talking to an expert here, but the reality is you take on perspective from books. I mean, there's a reason people that hit that alt-right pipeline or the hard left, like let's burn down the tree, let's burn down the government. When you go hard left or hard right, you're usually led there because you watched a influencer talk about health food. You don't start there. Mm-hmm. Always led that way. And it's the same with books. You're going to, what you consume is eventually what you're going to believe if that's all you consume. So this got depressing as hell. This was supposed to be really lighthearted. I'm so sorry.
This is educational. I think people needed to hear it.
No, this is seriously important, but I agree. So I do want to jump into another topic here, and that is with what you're doing with social media right now, do you have any long-term goals you want to achieve?
What's interesting is I never even thought I'd be like here right now doing this. So I've been taking every opportunity that social media has given me and running with it. Like I started my own publishing imprint. So now I am a publisher, and I published 2 books. They're both from marginalized voices. My whole imprint is called Violeteer Books. It's with Bindery Books. And my goal is just to promote diverse voices and stories. And as for social media, it's been a great way to uplift that. And I hope I can stay within this business for as long as I possibly can.
Summer, you should read these books and turn them into TV shows. That is a very good idea.
I just love that it became a publisher.
I know. That is so incredible. Cool. How did you, that is not a leap. Like, I would have expected you to be like, I'd like a TV show to talk about, the books that I'm reading. But no, you really went for it. You're really into books. That's.
Yeah, obvious. Would I love to have a TV show where I get to talk about books and do interviews and talk to people? Of course. It's like a part of who I am. But at the end of the day, just want to get these stories out there. And what really got me to do this was this company called Bindery Books that partners with book influencers and says, hey, you have a big community of readers who trust you. Why don't we listen to you about what type of books need to be published? And thus, here we are.
Hell yeah, that's really cool. I love that they put their faith in people who know what they're doing too. This isn't an outsourced thing. They didn't hire some corporate manager from wherever off in the woods who doesn't know what the people want and just starts putting out the same regurgitated story over and over again. It's crazy.
Fine.
Just said it 10 minutes, like 5 minutes before we brought on our special guest.
I said my people suck. I'll give you that.
Man, we went to full 360 right there. I love that. Do you have a particular, you said you like, you have 2 books out right now that are from more, I'm sorry, unless I'm mistaken, marginalized voices. Yes. Is that the particular type of book you want to keep putting out, or are you indifferent so long as it's not just hate speech?
No, I really want to center on voices that I would say society doesn't usually uplift. So people of color, women, queer, LGBTQ+, like that is my goal, is to tell those stories and then to use my platform to also uplift those stories. No, I'm never going to post something from like the far right or anything conservative or things like that. Those just aren't the stories that I want to share.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. Pretty much hits the nail on the
Good.
head. Good. Keep that out of people's eyeballs. Yeah, I mean, I know we've been touching politics too, so I think it's also important to make clear. I think if, regardless where your alignment is, if you're just a decent person, you have certain values that hit differently than mine. Like if you want to give guns to people, that's fantastic. Okay, please vet them. Please make sure they don't have mental illness.
Yeah,
please
no. We're
this,
not
that,
going
or the
into
other.
politics. America has failed at that. Y'all should join the Commonwealth again. Just know.
In the Commonwealth
It's
again.
just like you're fired from making your own decisions at this point.
Well,
So,
yeah, we did put Trump in office.
Essentially,
all right, go ahead. Go on.
Ask away.
Essentially, you have changed the course of intelligence online. And I don't mean that vaguely. You took a platform that was widely known for, girls shaking their butts. And you put something intelligent on it and created your own community around it. You really changed the course for TikTok. BookTok is now getting better and bigger than these thirst traps. It's really changing the direction, and it's changing how people see TikTok. How do you see that growing in the future? How do you see yourself growing with it?
Well, thank you for that. I also would love to give credit to also the wonderful creators who make BookTok what it is. It wouldn't exist without them. And I don't know, it's just like crazy to see how us as creators have just been talking about an activity that is usually solitary. Like you just do it by yourself. And now you get to talk about it publicly and make friends. And you see books that, were published a long time ago now become bestsellers. And so BookTok has basically given a life to literature in a new way that I haven't seen any other social media platform do.
Okay, I love that's a very good point, because we really don't see it on another platform. We don't see it in other genres, the same impact that BookTok has had.
And not to say they don't have it. There is Bookstagram, there is BookTube, but I think
it's not as much. And Sniffy was saying here, Dead Meat YouTube channel hasn't made a Jeepers Creepers video because of the director. So people, I mean, really, yeah, I think that does have an influence.
For
Sniffy.
Sure. With this sphere of influence you have, especially on social media, do you see yourself staying on these platforms, or at least as heavy as you are as the time goes on? Because now you're a publisher. I'm sure that'll translate into something else bigger and better as time moves on. You're going to have maybe less time to do what you're doing now.
Yeah, I'm going to keep doing it as long as I physically can and mentally. Sometimes I do think I just need somebody to run my calendar and keep me on track. But for the most part, yeah, of course, this is the happiest I've ever been in any line of work that I've done. It just aligns so much with who I am and what I value. And it's basically turned my hobby into a job that I am excited to do every single day. I feel very blessed for that.
I love hearing that. So I think you're a great person.
That's incredible.
I think you're a great person for this next part. Then you said you started in the pandemic. I started in the pandemic, and we hear this thing about social media influencers who go to this 10-year mark and then they burn out, they fizzle out. So what do you think would keep people from doing that, especially since most of them start because they have a passion that they just want to share?
Yeah, I think it's knowing when to just take a break. It's okay to take a little step back. It's hard though, because you think, oh no, if I don't post, the algorithm's going to be mad at me and no one's ever going to watch my content again. But I notice, like, when I go on vacations, I'm not really posting. I'm not creating TikToks. It's just giving yourself the grace and the space to take a step back and remind yourself, hey, the internet's still going to be there. Like, they're not going anywhere. The people follow you because they enjoy your content. So protect your mental health so you can actually just keep going.
Just like taking vacations in a normal job, I suppose, right? You need some time for yourself.
Well, realistically, because you're self-employed, you do have to regulate that yourself. And because people love it, they put everything into it. Now, you have a following, most predominantly on TikTok. You have a following on other platforms as well, of course. Do you think this, they're looking at, you know, if TikTok doesn't sell, they're still looking at pushing back this ban? And I personally think that would be awful, because your community especially has led to more communication, more people reading, especially for a generation that's illiterate. And that is what's happening, not in a bad way. They're saying literacy, it's actually been,
No,
they're
I don't
saying
disagree at all, by the way. I know that.
30% of Gen Z is illiterate. And I think having something like BookTok makes all the difference. You have hit people in a way they haven't had access to, and you've got people interested in a subject they wouldn't have otherwise been interested in. Do you feel any responsibility with the books you push because of that?
Great question. Yes, there are times where, like, example, earlier I talked about that dark romance book. When I made a video about it, I prefaced it by saying, like, hey, everything in this is really toxic. Do not apply like any of this to your real life. But once you know that, go read it and have fun. But yeah, there are certain authors that I wouldn't want to promote on my channel, J.K. Rowling being one of them. It really depends. But I try to stick in, I like talking with everyone else about what everyone else is reading. So I'll follow trends too, and go from there.
Do you notice any particular restrictions when you are talking about certain books or certain genres? I mean, things that, you know, like, all right, this is a great point in my mind, but I know if I make it, it's going to get people like rowdy or a little wild.
People are going to have something to say about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've learned in my years as a content creator, you're never going to make everyone happy. And as a people pleaser, that was really hard for me, because I don't like being misrepresented by people who don't know me or who just make assumptions based off like one video they've seen about me. But overall, I would say you just have to stick to who you are and to your values and be firm in that. And learn that sometimes people just aren't going to like you. They're not going to agree with you. You're going to get some pushback sometimes, but at the end of the day, you have to be okay with yourself. And if you're okay with what you put out there, then stand by that.
That's an odd combination, a people pleaser influencer. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, usually people that, you know, are influencers are not people pleasers, because again, you can't please everyone.
Yeah.
That is really interesting. And that's really interesting that you did that. How is that for you? I'm sorry, I know this is very, very personal.
No,
but how is that for you?
It's really, really hard, if I'm being honest. There are some days where I feel more confident, and then there are other days where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm making people upset. Like, what do I do? Not that I ever intentionally try to make anyone upset with the content I put out. But I will say, I think just being a content creator and having to do with this, it really kind of pushed me back on being a people pleaser, and then focusing more on trusting myself and the type of content that I'm making.
What have you gotten from being an influencer and from being on social media? Not necessarily BookTok, but just being out there. What has that changed in your life and about you personally over time?
I would say, so TikTok was the first time I ever expressed being gay online, publicly on social media. And so I think it really gave me the freedom to be myself. And once I was able to be myself online, it just opened up the door for me to like remove a barrier of having to pretend to be somebody else to get people to like me. Like, I was being openly queer and I was getting followers. So it was like, it's not an issue for the people who want to be around you, who like you, who follow you. And so I think social media has made me more confident. It's made me more creative. It's made me more empathetic. It's made me grow and learn as a person. And I would say it's also made me more patient. There's been a lot of growth with social media.
It's interesting. What makes you say the patience part?
Yeah, that catches me. I'm like, usually it would make me more impatient. How did it make you more patient?
Because it forces you to, we can get caught up in views and like how content is doing. And sometimes you have to be patient and wait for the video that's going to hit, or the moment that's going to change the trajectory of your career. Am I patient and general, no, absolutely not. I can get very impatient, but it does force me to take a step back and just keep my eyes on the prize and keep going.
That is so much more wholesome than I was expecting. I
I
totally
know.
thought he was going to go into like a guy. You know, sometimes I'll pop on my video and there's this one asshole who just always talks the negative in my comments.
I mean, there are times where I will type out the comment of what I really want to say just so I can get it out of my body, and then I click delete because I never want. Yeah, I never want somebody to take a comment and then misconstrue it, and then things on social media could snowball and the original intention behind it completely gets lost and a new narrative gets created as it spirals.
You know, I'm so sorry. I want to point this out. When you speak, and maybe this is from your experience, especially on social media, you speak with so much wisdom when you talk and so much force in your actions as well. And you're so young, at least appearance-wise, you're so young. Do you think that's because of all your time on social media, or is it due to other experiences?
He reads.
I read, but also I know my mom's watching. My mom growing up used to always call me an old soul. So I think it's just been a part of me. I'm also the type of person who I love the way people's minds work and understanding why they do what they do and why they feel what they feel. So I'm constantly in a state of just wanting to learn. I feel like I'm very open to learning, and that translates into how I also approach others and the type of content that I make.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I love that. What advice would you have for aspiring influencers, especially those that want to get onto BookTok, that want to do what you do and be you?
I would say don't be me, but be them. But I understand. I understand what you mean. But by being genuine, talk about the things you like. If you're excited, other people will be excited. And don't be afraid to try things. Even I'm afraid to sometimes step out of my box of the type of content I create and make. But at the end of the day, the number one advice I would give is just do it. That it really comes down, just film the video and post it, because you never know what's going to happen. You see people's lives completely changed because of one video that they made.
Yeah,
so you just got to do it.
Go to the corner.
That's a great example.
He just said his mom's watching.
It went sour after that.
She won't know what that is.
Now, we're getting towards the end of the show. I do want you to give everyone your social media. So a lot of Bear's followers I know are readers, and I want them to come follow you. So where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Threads. What else is out there? My username is the same across the board. It is just Kevin T. Norman. My name, when I first made it, I didn't realize it would stick with me forever. So I don't know if I would have gone with my name, but yeah, Kevin T. Norman.
I always tell everyone, get your name on every social media platform, including OnlyFans, because once you get famous, someone else is going to go get that name. So,
and then they want you to buy it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or they can make videos because they look like you. And I've run into clients where they're like, oh, there's somebody that looks like me making OnlyFans content. I'm like, I told you to get your OnlyFans. I don't know what you want.
You know, with the way, I do have one more fun question I'd like to ask you, and that is, do you have a series that is particularly like fond of, that hits you in the heart?
That's funny. I was going to ask him what the worst thing you ever read was. All right, we'll do both.
What series means the most to you, and maybe the one you
there you go.
What series means the most to me? There's two. There's the His Dark Materials, which is the Golden Compass series, which turned into an HBO show, which was really well done. And then my other favorite series, I would say, is The Cruel Prince. It's a YA trilogy and then 2 spin-off books. Also great series. As it comes to worst books I've ever read, I mean, I don't know. There's a few that, you know how we talked about fan bases? I won't go there.
Oh, I see. All right. I don't know. That's fair.
So I'm going to send you, I'm saying this, would you have Alexis send him a copy of The Receiver? Have Rachel Alexander send him a copy of The Receiver of miniseries. I want your opinion on it, and I want you to do a cameo in it.
Okay.
I want
check it out.
start. I want to start. I'm like, I want you to start like jumping into some of these series. I think you are really talented, and we do need to discuss you getting a show.
Thank you.
I'd love that. No, we need like a book version of Fashion Police.
No, but
just
now I'm thinking about it as
group
well.
of people. Tell Alexis to call Larry Namer. I want to do that.
Yeah, write this down.
I've got my assistant back here. I'm like,
have you thought about maybe starting, if you haven't already, starting a podcast with friends or other influencers?
I'm trying to get him on a show.
Itself?
I'll kill you if
no, you could do both. I'm just saying, like,
yeah. I mean, to answer your question, yes, I have. I've also worked with Spotify in the past to, they have this like audiobook show that we filmed. And we did it 2 years in a row where we're talking about a spicy audiobook and our thoughts and playing like some games. And that really inspired me to be like, oh, I would love to do this full time and have a show like this. So yeah, I've definitely thought about it, but there's so much on my plate, like being a publisher, running my social media, being in a relationship, being a cat dad, spending time with my family and my friends. Like there's just so much, and I'm just one person, and I tend to put a lot of pressure on myself. So will a podcast come or a show? Yeah, most definitely. Right now in this moment, probably not.
I like that you're taking care of yourself to do this, because when you burn out, that also comes across in the content you make.
Oh, this is the most important question, though.
What Lay it on me.
Do you have?
I'm sorry?
What kind of cat do you have?
Oh, I would show you. I would pick him up, but he's dead asleep. He is a black, fluffy cat who loves to sleep in this shoebox in my office. And I refuse to throw the shoebox away just because it's his favorite little spot. But yeah, we adopted him from a shelter. He was the last one of his litter, and they said they didn't think anyone was going to adopt him because black cats are the least likely to be adopted, and it is the exact cat I've always wanted. And I love him. His name is Darrow, which is actually based on a book called Red Rising. Also a great series.
I like that.
Shout out to Red Rising.
I know. I love that. People do. They think that black cats are unlucky. They tell you they are the least likely to be adopted. And a lot of I think it's 60% of black cats that end up in shelters are put down. So I love that he found
That's
a home
a crazy
with you.
statistic.
It's insane.
Wow.
It's insane. There's a reason that we have the animal shelters on one of the list of the charities that we give to, is because they really do put down a number of cats, specifically black cats. So I love that he found a home with you.
This cat has honestly changed my life. I could talk about him all day. Getting a pet, getting him specifically, made me a more empathetic person. And for him, I'm forever grateful. I've never known a love like this. It's just different. Like you have this beautiful, wonderful creature that lives in your house and fully depends on you. And black cats are very loving. I think people don't realize that. I've never met a mean black cat. No. They're just he's so sweet. I love him.
That's it. And with animals, it's unconditional love. With a partner, you can love them all you want, but you love them conditionally. If they start treating you bad, you're out. Like the relationship's done. But with pets, with children, with those are people you love unconditionally. So I like that. Absolutely. We have about 3 minutes left of the show. What do you want to say to the audience aside from follow him?
Follow me. Read the book Inferno's Heir. Read the book Black Salt Queen when it comes out. And read the sequel to Inferno's Heir called Tempest Queen. Check out my publishing imprint, Violeteer Books, with bindery books. If you type bindery books, you're going to find it. And there's so many other wonderful creators out there. So make sure you go and follow them as well. And pick up a book and read.
I love that. I love that, son. Pick up a book and read. That's going to be the tag to the show. Send me a link so I can get that up for people.
Yeah, deal.
I want to do that. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you for having me.
And then when you publish your next, come on the show, talk about it. I'd love to read a book with you and talk about it.
I would love that. Yeah.
Well, with you. I like that. They're loving you. Thank you very, very much for joining us.
And
thank you for having me.
I think we have lag. We keep talking.
Yeah, I know.
I feel so bad. I'm sorry. We have some lag. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This was Behind the Scenes. I'm the Baroness of Ayrshire and Glen Lyons, Summer Helene, and we are on with my co-host, Fuzzy Bear Snugglepuss.
The baddest bear in the cage, Bear Fiorda.
Snuggy Bear.
I don't know the last part of what you said was.
We'll see you next week.
Good night.
This has been Behind the Scenes with the Baroness and Bear Fiorda. Only on Talk 4 Media.